part of the program. And what that includes is, it's everything from going out and getting food, because that was, a big part of our activities. And it has to do with the ceremonies, with the medicines, the relationship to the land, understanding where we sit in this universe, learning the constellations in Cree, learning the language in Cree. I say Cree, but really, the word that we have is Inano, and the language is Inanamoan. Um, Cree, that's another, it's a foreign word onto our people. So, um, what we do, it all depends on the seasons. Um, so right now, like you saw, we were skinning a caribou, we're butchering a caribou, and that's something that the winter brings us is these massive herds of caribou that come through. Another thing is trapping and snaring. So I bring in foxes, lynx, things like that, rabbits, lots of rabbits. Um, Maybe next month we'll get into some ice fishing, so we'll bring more fish in. And um, the good part about that is, we're teaching these kids how to survive. Um, like we were talking about earlier, there's no place to buy food in this community, so you have to travel like 45 minutes to the next town. A lot of people don't have their own transportation. A lot of people don't have the means to afford healthy food at that store, so they buy junk food, which attributes to the extreme health crises that we have in these reserves. So just that one little aspect of reminding these kids that, or showing these kids that there's so much food all around you, and that act of getting that food, going out setting snares with them, going out on a canoe, checking nets, hunting, all that kind of stuff, sitting in a blind hunting, um, that lifestyle alone, leads to a healthy life. And then the food that you're getting is the healthiest food that you can get in the world. um, So yeah, a big part of it is getting the food like that and teaching them how to prepare it, how to store it. Um, in the fall, we were really lucky. This past fall, we had a really good year. We had many moose in this community. We had a huge harvest of brook trout. Um, we have a community garden that we do as well, because one of the misconceptions about First Nation people was that we were strictly hunter gatherers, and that really undermines our relationship that we had with the plants, and the knowledge that we had of propagating plants. So we lean heavily on harvesting and propagating the wild plants that are in this area as well. So with the fall, then, we were able to hold these huge feasts. We were able to pack everybody's home full of food, all that kind of stuff. Um, Cooking obviously is the next step in this, so we do a lot of cooking classes to teach these kids how to have good food, health, or how to make healthy food taste really good. Education really has to be um, designed for what people's lives are like, and for somebody who doesn't have a store in the community, you know you'd think that their education would have to be designed a little bit differently, because survival for us is not just academic and where we're going to, how far our education will take us, for work and stuff like that. Because it'll work if you leave the community, but then we lose who we are. That was the whole point of the residential school system, was to make us forget how to live off the land, how to leave the land, go down into the cities and be non-Aboriginal. Um, and that all leads so that our land can be exploited, so that Canada can make more money. So we're just um, an obstacle in the way of harvesting our resources, and that was why people wanted to separate us from the land. But it's a beautiful life out here, and I think that if the schools were more land based, people would learn a lot more of how to survive up here. Like, so there's um, the regular subjects in school are obviously beneficial, We need to learn math. We need to learn how to articulate with the English language. But we also need to learn how to articulate with the Cree language. And there's immersion schools that do really fantastic all around the world. So I think that would definitely be a place to start. Um, and that's something that people have attempted in this school, but it has never followed through. It's never really carried. Definitely think that we need to push harder than we are with our people for the mainstream education, the math, science, language, all that kind of stuff. But I think that it has to be done from an Innuak perspective, um, because these reserves that we live in. Um, you walk around the reserve, and it's not hard to tell that these were designed as internment camps. These were not designed as places where people would flourish and thrive. But again, we've thrived here for thousands of years. So there's no reason why we can't take this education and use it to empower ourselves, to redesign our communities. But the only way that we can redesign our communities is to really understand science, to really understand mathematics, architecture, all that kind of stuff. But again, if it's done with that First Nations, with that Inuit perspective, then we know how to do this in a healthy way. We know how to do this in a way that goes back to our foundation of living with the land, of being connected like that with the land. Some of them were talking about their dreams. Oh, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a police officer. I want to be an astronaut. Just whatever they wanted to be. So I just kept trying to fan those fires, and tell them you can do whatever you want. You guys are all capable. You just gotta come here. That's, I guess, a big part of that too is why I work with the kids, because I'd like them to kind of grow up knowing that life is beautiful and not hating life, like I did. I like them to not to kind of lose hope, because I came very close to going too far down that road. I was on the we say there's on that medicine wheel there's two roads. There's Machimis Canal and there's Minomis Canal. And that's on the medicine wheel. There's that cross. One is the good road, the other is the bad road. They say there's many good teachings on Machimis Canal on the bad road, but the trick is to get off that road with those teachings. So, um, yeah, a big part of working with these kids is to make sure that they don't get lost on that bad road the way that my generation has, the way that the generations before us have. Because I had a few jobs where there was outside entities that were pouring money into the reserve to try and help us with land-based activities, and this wasn't with the school; it was just other programming. Um, One thing that I realized with that is that unless you're actually ingrained into the everyday of the community, you're not going to understand the community. And if you don't fully understand the community, you're not going to be able to make a change to have the desired outcome that you want. Yeah, just keep hammering at it with these kids. Um, and it's going to take a long time to see too if this does work, if these kids will grow up with hope and with ambition and caring and all that kind of stuff. It's a very long investment, but hope it pays off. But it'd be nice to figure out how we can kind of speed this up and how to design a school that would really facilitate such a change.